have an issue.
People claim that the struggle is worse for women.
I think that's just a part of Twitter.
People who are saying normally,
They get the likes, the retweets and stuff like that.
We just want what's good for us. So moving forward.
Oh, is what you say in like 2010? Welcome back to the Soapbox. Today's topic is about social media versus reality. To my left, I have Karis at Abulante Papito.
What?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man.
We have Arion at Arioni. Is that right? Hey, I did
The
it.
one and the only.
We have to my right, she underscore your highness. Such a
So complicated.
And we have Tia at Trioletti. Ooh, damn, sorry. And I am your host at classic_Vin with 2 N's. All right, so we're talking about social media versus reality. All right, I'm gonna start off with a question. Is social media more beneficial or more toxic?
For me personally, I think that it's very beneficial. I can see how it can be toxic, but I think it's very beneficial.
So can I ask, how is it beneficial for you?
I like the fact that I can connect with anyone I literally want to if they'll accept my follow request. I like how I'm able to follow people's journeys, even people that like maybe I went to camp with them in 7th grade and we haven't spoken then, but I can still see like when they graduate from high school and college when they have babies. And I also like how entertaining it is. Like every time I'm on social media, there's always something to laugh about, cry about, just anything. So yeah.
I think it's beneficial for you because you're such a positive person. And so I feel like it's situational for the person. Like if you're toxic, then obviously like your feed and everything that you produce on social media is going to be toxic. And if you're positive, then obviously everything is going to be positive. So I feel like it's what you make it. And if you want to stay away from it, and especially I feel like if you know yourself, then you'll know how to stay away from toxic things, or you know that that's not what you want, or, basically.
Took the words out of my mouth. Wow. I believe it can be very beneficial. Like she said, if you're a very positive person like me, I think it's beneficial for me because on my social media I dance. I put out dance videos.
Ew.
And when I do that, I see people, they comment, oh, that was dope, oh, that made my day, made me smile and stuff like that. So it can be beneficial and it can be terrible because you can be a toxic person and just start a lot of mess and actually be very depressing.
Yeah.
It's not good.
For me, I'm gonna say I get all those things. I'm gonna say that it's pretty toxic because I think that just as much as we love all those things, they could become eventually toxic for us. Like I would say, like okay, searching for the positive likes, not as far as like to throw shade or anything, but of course when you put out your videos and stuff like that, you want people to like your video. You want people to interact and share it and all those things. And if you're not getting the shares or things like that, you feel discouraged and you have a measurement. And so now I feel like it can be toxic because we create these measurements against other people in the comparison. It creates that world of comparison where back in the day where our parents didn't have necessarily that comparison and they didn't have necessarily that pressure, I would say, to make sure that they have their stuff together right now, or you know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say. It's more on the toxic side for me, maybe 51%.
Like maybe when it comes to certain platforms, like obviously Twitter is more opinion-based.
Yes, literally. All opinion-based.
And like
Only.
Instagram is
Pictures
like
and
pictures and
videos.
everything. So I know like my Instagram especially is positive. Everyone's Instagram is positive. Unless like you make a Finsta and you have like your diary of your Finsta.
That's what it's
But like
for.
your Twitter, I think Twitter is like more for you. Like if you follow toxic people, then your feed's gonna be toxic. And
I mean, even if you don't follow toxic people, you still find, like, if you're following positive people, you're still going to find
yeah, but you
toxic
could
stuff
just
on your
block them.
timeline.
Like I
That's
think
true, but
some
it
people
always
enjoy.
ends up like
Some people can
it
still
always ends up
retweet
there.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
That's part of
retweet,
the
and it just
entertainment, though,
follows.
is the toxicity. The entertainment is the toxicity
Okay,
of
so
Twitter.
the
You know what I'm saying?
toxic
Okay,
person would
okay.
retweet
Right.
a toxic tweet.
Right, but
Yeah.
no, like even
Okay.
if you're positive, seeing the toxic stuff, you might not engage in it, but you're just like,
Right.
that's part of the entertainment. And so if
Yeah.
you really don't want it, you don't have to have it on your feed. But like, I think that's just a part of Twitter culture. Is just like to see,
Twitter culture. Wow,
yeah.
that's really what it is.
So how seriously should we take what we see and say on social media?
Oh, I want to start on the because I don't want us to just veer on to go to Twitter. I want us also to consider like Instagram, and so I would say how
Yeah, this does not
seriously we
limit you.
consider like okay. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it should be 50%. You should give the person like the benefit of the doubt. Like, is this real? Is it really? Because I feel like with Instagram now, they're only showing, like she said, the happy moments. What about like 50,000% of the time? You know,
50,000.
people are really going through some stuff.
Literally,
They're not
yeah.
showing that they
Definitely.
couldn't make their bill paid. They're showing that they paid it.
And they're going on vacation.
Right, exactly. They have dated pictures from back then that they're posting today, like, okay, take me back to Aruba. And, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that, I think it's like, at this point with social media, it's like almost like 50-50 at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
I think also too, it's tone, because like a lot of times you talk to me on social media, like I'm just blunt. Like just in person and
we know.
like I'm blunt. But if you meet me, I'm very sweet and I'm very kind. And so like no, I think
You are. Don't play it.
yeah.
She's like, take it back.
No,
I can't
She's a sweetheart. She's so cute.
Yes,
Oh
absolutely.
gosh. Anyways,
stands.
so I feel like you're not gonna hear my tone on social media, and so I'll say something like, I just mean it like how I said it, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, my feelings are hurt, and like you could take that outside of Twitter and real life dislike me for it, but like when you really get to know me, like that, you know that that's not who I am, and like my tone and like. So I guess it's just like tone has a lot to do with like how we treat each other.
Yeah.
And like even just texting, you just don't know what somebody means by it, and you can get confused. So like it's just how you, like you can't take everything on social media seriously because you can't interact the same way as you do in person.
What was the question?
Repeat, yeah, I was gonna
So how seriously should you take?
How seriously should we take what we see and say on social media?
Oh, I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't think we should take it. It can be 50-50 because most of the stuff you see on social media, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, is like all cap. It's just people talking just because they can talk. You know what I'm saying? But in real life, they're not like that. They're not that type of person or anything like that. So I think it should be 50-50. Because sometimes some people say some things and you don't believe it, and you're like, that person's not like that. But in real life, you're like, what? You know, so I think it's 50-50.
And kind of going off of what he said, I feel like the things that we do need to pay attention to are like when people are obviously hurting, and like if somebody tweets something like, man, I really just want to leave this earth or something like that, like you shouldn't be like, oh, they're just kidding. They're just kidding. Like, no, like reach
Or
out to that
attention
person.
seeking. Some people think that they're attention seeking.
And even if you do think they're being an attention seeker, still reach out to them.
Right, like,
Just
okay,
make
are
sure they're
you good?
okay.
'Cause you never know. You
Let me
never
call
know.
you. I'm texting you in 10.
Exactly.
So then, like, what about the Twitter trolls or just trolls in general who like play devil's advocate and like they're not being serious?
One right here.
We have one in the room.
Like, do you take them seriously, or do they have a role like to play on social media?
Well, let me say, introduce myself. I think that okay, when I do it or not, well, I guess I would say call it trolling. I guess I'm admitting that it's trolling. But I think that they push people's thoughts, like how far are you willing to go? Even the people who really do stand up for things and take it farther than other people are willing to say.
Yeah.
I feel like when I say something on social media, like I might even be wrong, like on a certain topic. But if nobody's gonna challenge me, if nobody's gonna try to, of course, in a certain kind of way, because I love to set that example, like, okay, you're overreacting, I'm not, and how did we get here? And so, once I try to get a thought-provoking conversation, like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter to me if people feel like, oh, she thinks some type of way, because they don't really know what I really, really think at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my fiance would be like, no, you're wrong. And I'll be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that they do play an important role in thought-provoking. Sometimes, okay, they might be wrong, like I said, but you have to challenge that. If you do think that they are wrong and that you should change your thought, you might change other people's thoughts in the process, and that's what's important. So that's what.
Is it really about like changing thought though? Because like a lot of us have opinions, and especially on Twitter, like you have to come with the mindset that I might not change your mind.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of times I feel like trolls come with comedy and they're not so much being serious.
Yeah.
But like, do you think it's like challenging their opinions, or like is it comedy?
I don't know. I think that is definitely determined on like the context of the situation. The situation in itself, like you said, the tone I think really does, set the mood in those kinds of situations like that. Like if the person's coming back and cursing and you know what I'm saying, you know that they're really not about nothing but trying to get their point across. And if they're more so receptive, which I have learned the hard way to try to be like, people telling me something, I'm like, oh, they're wrong or whatever. Once I've been able to understand and try to see things in an understanding way, or even come to one of those conclusions where let's just agree to disagree. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's all water under the bridge after that.
Okay, so we kind of hit on talking about tone and like energy. So do you think people have a bolder energy in social media?
Yes.
Most definitely.
I didn't finish the question.
Yes.
Wait, can I finish the question?
The answer is yes, whatever it is.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
like I was saying before they all bum rush me, do you think people have a bolder energy in social media than they do in real life, in terms of arguments or even flirting?
Yes.
Flirting.
Yeah.
Especially, both of them especially.
It's the same with texting too.
True.
It's just all across the board with that one. Yes, you get bolder when you're texting, and also on social media too. I feel like you have that same. I don't know.
I mean, like, are you talking about just friend-wise, or are you talking about like a person that you're actually like talking to, or?
Either way, I'm
Either
just
way.
saying like.
I feel like people are a little more bold over social media just because there's like pictures involved. I don't know, but I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think me personally, I am the same level of boldness. Like
You're just a bold person. You just
in person.
Like I
you just shoot
don't
bullets.
care.
That's all
Like so I feel like me personally, I value that I can be the same person online as I am in person. But some people really are shy and they have like whole new personas.
Yeah.
And like especially the anonymity that you might be able to have, it's like they get to be the parts of themselves that they don't necessarily get to share. And I feel like that's low-key sad, because if that's how you feel like at 2 a.m. on Twitter, then I feel like you should be that person in 2 p.m., you know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like it's kind of like our generation as well. Like we don't really have chances to be ourselves because we're being ourselves on Twitter. It's like, oh.
I feel you. I feel like for me, I'm similar to T. I feel like I'm the same on social media and in real life. I don't know, I might be a little more energetic in real life, but I just feel like, I feel like other people just in general, like they're really bold. Like for example, if a guy thinks you're cute, most guys aren't gonna say anything to your face. But if you post a picture on Instagram and think it's cute, they're gonna do the heart eye emoji or
comment.
"Ooh, girl,"
The
blah blah.
fire,
Oh, you fine. Okay,
the
I see
drippy.
you.
But when you walk
Oh,
past
yeah.
them on campus, they walk right past you, don't say anything.
Right, yeah.
Ooh, can we talk about how people talk to you on social media but not in person?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Go off.
With me, for that reason, I just don't be knowing who people are. Like, I don't know, I separate. It's so weird because I really do separate people. Like, I do see him on social media, but I know him. Like, I'll be like, okay. But if I don't have a certain kind of relationship with you or had a conversation with you in person and have had a relationship with you on social media, it's like I separate. It's weird for me. Like, I could do that and I not know it. It's never intentional because I love people. Everybody, so I was like, I'll be hitting you up. I have a whole conversation. If you don't tell me, like, hey, remember we had the conversation about that, I would be like, oh my God, sister. Like, that's just how it is.
No, there's like some people that like you meet and you're like, oh, you're that person,
Right.
and they tell
Yes,
your username.
exactly.
Like that was so awkward when they call you out by your username.
Yeah, they're like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
But oh, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, I'm talking about the people that you have like regular like interaction
Oh,
with.
okay.
You know they know you. Like I feel like it's just very common, especially on college campuses. Like our campus is very small. I feel like a lot of people know each other on social media, but then you see them in the market and they walk past, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna yell after you. It's not that serious,
I
but
feel like
They
it's
might be feeling the
because
same way, girl. Don't even try.
I'll just hug them next time. I'm not mad, but
I feel like it's because like we've only talked on social media, like she said. Like I don't know you in person, so why would I, come up to you? Maybe I can. Like there are times and I'll be like, oh yeah, I have talked to you on social media, and I like introduce myself. But a lot of times it's just like,
You gotta introduce yourself in person.
right,
Also.
like you can't just come up to me and be like, hey, what's up?
kinda
Like
weird, though.
I don't know you.
like you can just say hey in passing. Like
Yeah.
for example, so like prior to this year, I feel like we didn't really know each other, but like we knew each other on social media.
Yeah.
But I still feel like we always still said hey
Yeah.
beforehand. I don't know.
I think it's a different level of energy when you're like walking around or whatever. And because I know a person that she's a dancer.
Oh.
And like anytime she walks on campus, there was a person, oh, I know you. And then she's like, how do you know me, but I don't know you? You're walking around campus and they know about you, they know what song you dance to, all this other
Mercy
stuff. And
me.
it's like,
Right.
I think that's just
Okay,
really
he's famous.
awkward and weird, but I guess that all ties into the whole
Yeah,
social
that's
media
just like
type thing.
yeah. If you're popular in one area, like you can't expect it to not like.
Do you think you're popular online?
No.
No, I don't.
No comment. I am.
Flip
I mean,
chair.
if you think, if you think you are, go ahead. If you think you're popular online, you think you're popular online. It I think all depends on the person, and also it doesn't matter. Like if you have 200 followers,
You still
you
poppin'?
think you're popular, you're popping. If you have 3,000, you're popping or whatever. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
what's popular?
I feel like those people who are always in the conversation, those are the people that tend to be popular here, especially like on Twitter, or like the people who post pictures on Instagram and literally for the next 15 stories, you see that picture posted on everybody's Instagram. Those tend to be like
I guess I'm not popular then.
Huh?
I guess I'm not popular.
People
then.
repost your videos?
Not all the time. Not all
Okay,
the time.
you want them to do it every time?
No.
I'll
But
repost it today.
But you said on someone's page, they post that same picture like.
I don't think she means consistently,
Right,
but she
yeah.
she has a
No, but sometimes that happens though. Like I see it on other people's, like that one picture just reposted.
I actually think
I'm
that's so
like, wow.
annoying. I honestly, but whatever.
Like the campus celebrities. Is that what you're talking about?
Sure, yeah.
Oh well. Oh, I was gonna say. I'm sorry, Bree. Were you? Okay. What you were saying about the people who have the conversations or who are in the conversations. What I think that we also need to pay attention to when it comes to that, what I've seen in my Twitter experience was that, the people who tend to drive the conversation are the people who are popular, and those people's ideas are not challenged. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those people drive the conversation, make the points, and everybody
They disappear.
just
When they
right,
when
and
they
everybody,
leave,
you know what I'm
talk
saying? They
about
get
it.
the likes and the retweets and stuff like that, and other people think that everybody is okay with that. Everybody is on board with that, and so, I think that also what you were saying, like it's important to pay attention to the people who drive the conversations
Because they'll be loud and wrong.
as a popular people,
And
right?
then like you say something and like they have like their friends that will defend them, and it's kind of just like,
Gang,
are we gonna
gang.
let
And
it
they're
slide?
wrong.
Are we gonna
completely
ignore
wrong.
it? Like,
So do you agree that would you say that social media can bring out a side of people that naturally wouldn't be there, especially within those? Because you were talking about the popular group and how sometimes a popular group will be wrong and strong and all their friends back behind them.
I mean, if you don't know yourself. So me personally, like I'm not gonna bandwagon on somebody that I don't agree with. But if I'm trying to be like be a persona, then yeah, I'm gonna agree with you because I want people to like amplify me in a sense. And like it's a lot of insecurities at some point when it's like you need the validation online. But like for instance, our president like can be loud and wrong and has a whole following to back him up.
And he does it on purpose.
Yeah, so that's why it's like it's really like how you use your platform and like if you know yourself and if you'll like hop on a bandwagon or not.
So now talking about bandwagons and social media, look at social media as a whole. Okay, so Snapchat, Facebook, even though we probably don't use it as much, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't even know what else is out there. Like, there's just so much.
Snapchat.
Go off LinkedIn.
I don't use Snapchat anymore because Instagram
my
stories.
last
Whatever. But there's so many platforms out
Yeah,
there.
there are.
Does what you say on those platforms have real life implications?
Yes, yes.
In what ways?
Like, for instance, Twitter, like, I know a professor that sees my tweets. And, like, when he said something, I was real life scared. Because I was like, what did I say? Oh, my gosh. And, like you have to really be careful because there are employers. Like, if, I don't think I'm that crazy on Twitter, but, like, if an employer saw some of y'all's tweets, like, you would not have a job.
Yeah.
And, like, especially, like, Instagram, utilize the private feature because, like, you will not have a job. And, like, especially cancel culture, you will get canceled for something you said in 2009.
Like that student from the school who used the N-word and he applied to Harvard.
yes,
And Harvard
yeah.
took back his
Sheesh.
acceptance.
There
I
are
think that's
consequences
unfortunate.
to your actions, and especially like on social media, like a lot of people see it as the Wild West, and like it's starting to become more regulated, and it's starting to become more accessible, and like especially the older generation, like Gen X, they still know kind of how to use it, and like millennials too are starting to get older. Like millennials are like 30 and they can be our employers and they know how to use social media. So it's just like you really need to be careful now because they're gonna pull out the archives, they're gonna pull out the drafts. Like it's
Yeah, I used to like have a Twitter like before, and I used to have like a nice little following. I used to comment and retweet on everything, and then I remember I was in class one day and a teacher of mine told us that be careful, you know, whatever you say or whatever you do on social media and stuff like that, and it really really hit me, and now I don't really retweet as much as I used to and stuff like that because it can really come back to haunt you. Like whatever you say, do, post, whatever, it can really come back to haunt you. Like it's
one of my favorite things is like when somebody said something in 2003 on Twitter and it gets quoted and people are like, it aged well, and like they're basically contradicting themselves. Like that just shows like the cycle to me of social media of like your words don't disappear. They really
So I have a question. So we're talking about, let's say, tweets from like 2005 or later. Do you think you were a different person and you changed throughout your lifetime? Do you think you should be penalized for saying something maybe that wasn't so smart at the time?
no, I don't think you should be penalized because I'm a different person now. I'm not who I
But
was.
how can you prove that though? That's my whole thing.
I mean, you don't have to prove it to anybody. You gotta
I
prove
mean,
you gotta prove it to nobody. If what you said in 2006 is not who you are in 2020, like
No, I
That's it.
definitely agree. Like this is, this is another reason why I also want to get into social media law because it is something that is new, and so now they have to create different things. It's still in the motions of what could be censored for real, what can't be, and things like that. And a lot of things that are happening now are just now starting to set precedents on what you can do and things like that. Aside from, of course, your employees, you're scrolling and saying like, okay, yeah, no, that's inappropriate and things like that. But remind me of the question.
Actually, I forgot. Oh, does what you say in like 2006, like
Okay,
whatever
yes.
you said
So
that
I
was
don't
ignorant.
believe that. Yes, I don't believe that that somebody should be penalized because people do change. Like your opinion, that's what I say in my bio. It says opinion subject to change with time, and I make that disclaimer, like, you know, purposely because you know, I think that, of course, my opinions will change. I will, you know, right now I don't feel like I want to breastfeed, but I might want to, and I might change my mind. I'm against it. I don't want saggy titties, but unfortunately, that is a part of life if you want a really healthy baby or whatever the case may be. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's my struggle.
So I have a question,
You get what I'm
though.
saying? That's my opinion right now, but I might change my mind. I might see my baby like, oh, I gotta just, you know, nurture my baby in that way or in the moment or whatever my reasons might be. You know what I'm saying?
So if you tweeted and you said some like hate speech or whatever, you said something really rude, very offensive.
So in that example, I'm just thinking, that's the first thing that came to my head.
Okay, so let's say the next week you change your mind. You don't think that you should be held accountable for what you said last week, even though you okay?
Because I could be remorseful. I could be like, oh, wow, I appreciate that my mom had to breastfeed me and she put her body through this obstacle or whatever. My understanding might change to that in a deeper emotion. So that way it might change, or it could be on a surface level. Like I could be fake about it. Like, oh, I'm in the remorse. Like, oh, I'm sorry about that. But of course, my opinions might still, you know, change. Like I see what you're saying. Like people could be on that surface to be on social media and be like, okay, to save face, which is what everybody ends up usually having to do eventually anyway, if their opinion is wrong. And so that's just why.
That's where I have to disagree, just for the fact that, like I said, there are consequences, and your words aren't just an open space, because if you say something in person, you're still going to have the same consequences. So it's not just, like, just because you're remorseful doesn't mean that the action didn't happen. And so you can be remorseful, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to own up to it, and you can apologize. But if people are going to hold you accountable, you can't say anything because you might have been young, but sometimes you still do know better, and you can say, "I'll try to do better." I was young, but I'll do better. But like I said, especially with hate speech, a lot of people correlate freedom of speech with I can say whatever I want, and it's not the case. Hate speech and freedom of speech are separate, and we need to keep that in mind, especially with what we say on social media.
So
And
with
also,
go ahead.
You have to remember that when you're in the moment, you have to think about what you're gonna say, because sometimes we see a person tweet something, and then we get hyped up or angry or however you feel, and you say a certain thing, and then you say it, and then after a while you're like, dang, I never should have said that, or that's not how I felt. And then sometimes on social media, people delete tweets, and then they take a picture of it.
So empty.
They say, oh, look at this person tweeted whatever, you know. So you just have to remember how you react in that moment as well.
Man, my draft section.
So I had a question. So I'm sure we all know about Kevin Hart and I think it was the Oscars, about why he didn't host the Oscars. So do you feel like he should have been held accountable for the hate speech that he said? I think that was was it 2008 or 2013? Do you feel like people should have just dropped it because he's changed his opinion, or should he have gotten the flack because of what he said years ago?
What did he say?
Basically,
Wasn't
it was offensive
homophobic
stuff about
stuff?
Okay, so it's homophobic. stuff.
if his son was.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was the dollhouse thing. If
Yes,
his son had
yes.
a dollhouse, he would break it over his head or something.
So yeah,
Was
some
that
stuff like
some
that.
outrageous thing like that?
He said 3 things.
Don't quote me. So yes, he said something outrageous like that. I mean, back in the day, though, I mean, people were saying crazy stuff.
Because it wasn't
Comedians
acceptable.
used to talk out the side of their
Dave
neck.
Chappelle still does.
But that's the thing. It's it depends on who you are. Because Dave
pushing the
Chappelle
line.
has
It's
never
comedy,
been
though.
canceled. But when it comes to Kevin Hart, if you are
It's
remorse,
comedy.
I feel like some people too. If you show remorse, then you can get held accountable. Because someone like Donald Trump does not say sorry, and you notice that he doesn't say sorry, and it's harder to hold him accountable because he doesn't acknowledge what he's doing wrong. And same for Dave Chappelle says some wild stuff, but nobody's gonna cancel him because he's telling his truth. Whereas somebody like Kevin said he changed his mind. And I feel like it honestly is situational, especially to the person and especially to what you did. Like, I might not find offense to it, but I can't tell you not to be offended. So, I don't know. It's like, that's
It's hard.
a tough one. Like,
Yeah, I
who
don't
do we
think he should
cancel?
have been. Yeah, I don't think that he should. Sorry, I don't think that he should have been penalized for that. Honestly, it was a very big moment for him, and so I think that they were just trying to make an example out of him in that kind of situation because that was major. Everybody knew that that was like his dream, and then for them to do that for something that he did so long ago, you know what I'm saying? That was kind of, you know, it was kind of heartbreaking, especially because he was remorseful and because so much time has passed. And of course, the acceptance of the LGBT community has really, really started to be, accepted, and people are starting to get comfortable around, the idea. So I think that it was wrong. I think that, in law, it's 7 years. So you should have 7 years, and then everything else behind that, that's before they can shred their files. So
I mean, like, if you don't want consequences, then just don't say it. You know what I'm saying?
Write it in your journal.
But you say things in the moment all the time.
Exactly.
Like, people
Yeah.
say things in the moment
That's what I was
all
saying
the
before.
time.
It's always that moment.
But,
when
like,
you're in the moment, you say certain
You might have
things.
said it in the moment, but like it's going to come back to you. So like I do think, like, I'm sorry that he like missed his opportunity and now it's his dream. And like I personally wouldn't have canceled him for it. Like I don't agree with homophobic comments, and like I do accept people's apologies. So I feel like cancel culture can go kind of far. But like if he gets canceled, he gets canceled. Like people are allowed to be offended, and like that just is a lesson for him to be careful what he says next time, and like to be more accepting of people.
I have a question.
Real quick.
Do you think people are more sensitive now than who we used to be back in the day? Like more
So did you read my notes or?
No, I just, it just
Was
got
that the next
popped in my
question?
head.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's
Okay.
crazy.
I'm salty now.
I think yes, because I feel like we're in a very, I don't know the word, but
Sensitive
racially
world, basically.
racially charged,
Right, in this
sexually
time,
charged.
right
Yeah,
now,
like
yeah.
everybody,
Right now,
like
yeah.
it's kind of crazy, like what's
Everybody's
going on.
triggered.
So like if a
Everybody's triggered
person of the opposite, not gender, race says something like, even kind of like semi-rude against like, our people,
Yeah.
our people are gonna go off. If somebody says something even kind of rude to somebody of a
Yeah.
different sexuality, everybody's gonna go off. So we definitely are really sensitive.
I don't think of it as sensitivity. I think the beauty of our generation is that we're not accepting of a lot of these things anymore.
True.
Like, I know me, like the Black community, we're not going to accept a lot of things anymore. And even like the LGBT community, they're standing up for themselves. And our generation is about equality, equity, and like what we deserve. We deserve to be treated with respect. And I love that actually, because like our parents and our grandparents kind of let a lot of things slide and like kind of like perpetuated toxicity and like, ugh. So I'm glad that we're like moving away from that and we're becoming better people. And our generation is like, we're leaders and we're fighters, and I'm proud that we can like move away from that. So I don't really want to label it as sensitivity. I want to label it as intolerance.
Okay.
Okay, now. That's
Right.
a nice hello.
Look like you want to say something. Go for it.
Oh, okay, so like, what about the show Boondocks? We all know the show Boondocks, right?
That's my show.
I've only
Can't wait till it comes
So
out.
in the past, they talked about a lot of things. They said certain things. They had a lot of stuff that they
does
didn't
Family
care.
Guy.
And most people didn't realize that it was satire. Like it was
It
just,
is, it's satire.
you know. So I mean, I believe we're very sensitive now because if they were to do that in this time,
They are
in
gonna
this
bring it
age,
back.
there would be a outcry. It would be terrible. They were probably going to cancel Boondocks, cancel all the people, producers or whatever it is who came up with it. So I think it's too sensitive to the point where people can't even like make a joke or just something comedic at all. Like, just,
I just feel like the hope in me, I personally feel like Boondocks knows how to be like satirical without being disrespectful. And like, for example, like Family Guy can get very disrespectful.
Like so disrespectful.
Wait, hold on. You think the Boondocks?
isn't disrespectful?
I don't know.
It's
because, like,
different.
and it's also like we're making fun of ourselves in a way. But like
Which
you
would
know,
make
like some people think that because you make fun of everybody that it's okay. But like Boondocks is specifically making fun of ourselves, and it's satirical. And so I think I have the hope that like and especially when they do stuff like that, and if you take the Boondocks seriously, it's because like you're proving their point. Like the R. Kelly episode was the R. Kelly episode was all jokes, and if you take it seriously, then you're proving the point of the episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And
but I'm just hopeful.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like like with all the stuff that comedians get away with saying, and like the stuff that goes on current Family Guy episodes, I don't think we're like gonna cancel an entire like show because of something that they said.
Don't.
I think we laugh,
that.
we'll complain about it, but we'll watch the show the next
You
week.
never know. They may, oh, cancel Boondocks.
I think they might try to cancel the Boondocks. Hey,
never
if
know.
you
They
can't
will
handle it,
cancel-
don't watch it. Thank you.
Cancel anything.
I have one more question. Does social media create unrealistic expectations for relationships? This can mean boyfriend, girlfriend, or even friendships.
I think so, because
Yes, sir.
like we said earlier, everybody puts that perfect side of their lives up. So like you see these couples and you see these best friends going to Greece, going to Africa, Europe,
Bali.
Australia. But in real life, I'm like, I can't afford to go on that trip. Or you see like the really cute quotes and you're like, okay, that doesn't apply to me and my mom. It doesn't apply to me and my best friend. So I feel like it definitely does place these unrealistic expectations for us. But I feel like if you know that social media, part of it is fake, part of it is just for the clout, for the likes and the retweets and stuff, you won't let those expectations go, you won't let those expectations affect you in your relationships.
Yeah, like it goes back to what I said about knowing yourself. And like some people real life just copy like whatever they see. And so I feel like if that's the model and the mold that you have, then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, I wanna go to Bali with my boo and like do all this stuff. But like if you know who you are and what you want, and especially the kind of relationship that you want, like social media can't really affect you in your relationship. But definitely, it's like Twitter's telling you this is what you need from a boyfriend. This is what he's supposed to be doing, and it's just like make your own opinions, you know. So not really unrealistic, but more like force feeding opinions like on everyone.
Well, I've always wondered. My thing was, what is everybody's obsession with relationships on social media?
true.
Like, why do people get attached to these relationships? And so I guess it's because they do present a certain. I mean, and they've been doing that since the ages, like families and stuff like that.
Keeping Up with the
you know what I'm saying?
Jones.
Yeah, like those black families and the husband and wife. They also emphasize the relationships between the husband and wife and their relationships, the relationships with the kids, everybody's relationship. And so I feel like, you know, it not only it could be detrimental, but it could also set like a certain kind of standard. Like, okay, this is something that a certain kind of exposure, I should say. You know, as far as like traveling, like I might not have been like, oh, babe, like we need to go to Santorini until I seen somebody else being in Santorini. I knew that was possible for me too through Groupon. Like, come on. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, you could tell. So I think that. You know, it could be like just like force feeding you certain things, like, okay, like, oh, now I got Santorini in my mind. I could be thinking about somewhere else, like, you know, some other place that's unknown that, you know, other people haven't visited also. But I think that it also could set like a standard. Like a girl might see like, oh, she's getting dinner, roses and stuff like that. And I've never had that before. Like, you know what I'm saying? She might be feeling that or see that kind of exposure that somebody else might be having. And I think that some relationships do try to portray that. Like, you know, this is what you do deserve. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so and of course, like those families, those black families, they try to create that environment where you say, I want to have that kind of relationship in my family where we do talk to each other and we do have that open kind of communication. And so that's like, I think that there's also a positive side to that too.
Definitely.
Yeah. There's this YouTube couple that she got engaged. I forgot.
Oh,
DK for
Yeah, DK
we got a fan. Yes.
So
I love them.
when that video came out,
She was way too excited. I'm sorry.
I was waiting for somebody, like when you said
No, that's
Santorini, I'm
seriously.
like,
That's seriously a great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like, when that
good
video-
marketing they're doing there.
When that video came out, social media was going crazy. Oh my gosh.
Young
he got
black
engaged,
couple.
blah, 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 blah. And like, I saw people saying like, y'all don't even know them. Like, why are you so involved
Attached.
in their
That's
life?
how
Like,
I was.
attached.
Somebody's
Like,
like,
oh, you don't even know, they don't even know who
Yeah.
you are.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, that ties back into like a couple of years ago, people were talking about let's have YouTube couples. You know, they were like, hey, let's start a YouTube channel, get some money, you know, so whatever. So I think that if you don't, like you said, if you don't know yourself as a person, you will definitely let social media influence you. Like the whole hashtag bae goals, all that other stuff. Like
Bagels.
it's crazy. So just yeah.
I got
go
a
ahead.
question to piggyback off that. Well, what about like posting? Like, how do you feel about like your man posting you or them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Those kinds of things, like those images, those influences, and things like that. Like, do you feel? I feel like social media has influenced relationships that they have to show off themselves in order for them to be valid. And as far as the social media, you know, and posting and the influence on relationships goes. So I think that's also.
Do you post about your relationship?
Oh, sometimes we don't really. I feel like a lot of people do know us and know us from like our grassroots, and they've seen us like around. So that's where mostly people who are there's people who cheer us on, I should say,
Right.
and we love them. Like, you know, we appreciate them, and there are people who say like, you know, we love y'all together and things like that. We interact with each other on social media. You know, he'll post me once in a while. You know what I'm saying? There was one point when I was like, why don't you post me? And then there was one time when he was posting me too dang on much, and I was like, you need to chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, slow down for a second. And that was in the beginning. And then I was like, oh, well, you didn't have to stop, but you know what I'm saying? And so I think that sometimes, you know, we do interact and stuff like that. We do post each other, but that's not like to force it on people or to make it seem like there's anything, you know, going on. Of course, if there's something, we do have arguments and stuff like that. We'll never take it to social
Oh yeah.
media.
I have seen
You know what I'm saying?
relationships put it on social media.
You know what I'm saying? But we won't do that. You know what I'm saying? But that's not to put up the facade that, oh, everything is perfect
Right.
either. That's because we protect our space and we actually communicate.
I feel like you guys are kind of like a social couple just because like I was there for your engagement.
And
but,
I
like,
saw the video of the
right,
engagement.
Right, but like the engagement
so
got posted and went viral. So I feel like people have like an idea of you guys and like they're invested and like
They wanna see it through,
they want to
too.
see it.
Yeah,
So it's just like, but like you said, like you keep some things on and some things off. So like, what's the balance like for you guys?
Oh, I think that it's mostly him because of course I'm emotional and out of my emotions I might tweet something like just the other day I was like, you take ownership of your BS. I didn't say BS. I said the whole thing. But you know, I tweeted take ownership of your BS, but that was because of something that he did, and I was just like you know, I told him to clean off the counter. And he didn't, you know, like it's like, you know, it'd be little stuff, and so you know it won't. That's like, as far as it'll go. It'll be like, I won't at him like you dirty. You don't be cleaning up the counters and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think that the balance is, especially with him, because he'll come and communicate with me. He'll be like, he'll see that tweet and then immediately he'll come over to me and be like, okay. And I'll be like, that wasn't about you. He'll be like, come on now. Like, so, you know, it's a communication. I think that he will intercept it before, or I will make sure like he won't tweet nothing crazy. And he'll tell me, put your phone down, please. Like, you're tripping.
I used to post my girlfriend all the time.
You did.
You
You
did.
did.
Sure
I
did.
used to do it all the time.
I was in love.
I used to do that all the time, and my girlfriend had to be like, you know, chill out.
Aw, but you
calm
really
down.
adored her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did, but it came to the point where she was like, you know, you don't need to put everything on Instagram, you know, and it came to the point where she was like, calm down, you know what I'm saying? Yes, like I enjoyed the love, I enjoyed everything, but
cute.
you
Yeah.
just need to relax a little bit.
Yeah,
And she's not
just-
even like the social media type of person either.
Yeah.
You know, so like, when was it? It was last week? I think it was National
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 Boyfriend
Boyfriend
Day.
Day or whatever.
Trying to act
And
like he didn't know what it was.
He probably said it to her, like, girl,
ready.
it's National Boyfriend Day. Make sure you post
And I texted,
my dancing videos.
and I texted her, whatever. I was like, hey, watch your boyfriend day. She was like, okay. But she knew, she knew. She was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, yeah, happy, whatever.
I'm weak.
And then she, she sent me like a slideshow or whatever. Of but and then in the message she was like, there's no need to post everything, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
just between us. So yeah, I understand that.
And kind of going off that, so like I'm very like, I love social media. I post not a lot of my life, but a good majority of my life because I just enjoy it. My boyfriend, on the other hand, he doesn't post much on his social media at all. So it was kind of interesting when we first started dating, kind of trying to find that balance. Because I'm like, okay, I don't want to always put him up there because one is not anybody's business, and two, I don't want him to feel uncomfortable. And even like with my YouTube channel, like he does not like being in the vlogs. I do, yeah. I'm not gonna say but when I'm vlogging, I'll try not to show him or things like that. And I really think you really have to be respectful of people's wishes when it comes to social media, even with your friends or parents. Like I'm sure everybody's trying to put their parent on their social media. They're like, don't put me on there. I don't want to be on there. But it's kind of weird when you're really social and your person isn't.
Yeah.
So I'm single, but like I just know me personally, I'm very private. And like you said, I guess it's respect. And like if somebody does want to post me, I'd just kind of be a little bit uncomfortable just because I am like a little more private. But like you were saying, like even friends and parents, like you do have to like be aware of like what kind of personality they have and just like what they're comfortable with maybe.
Yeah. Well, I hate when we have to end. Every episode is awesome. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on here today.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for these great questions.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
thank
indeed.
you.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, I never got that before. Well, let's keep
You
that.
are awesome.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yes, indeed.
Twist out poppin'?
Huh?
I said twist out poppin'.
Right.
Period, poo, man, two nuts. All right. So I want to thank you guys for like talking about like some of your private stuff that you guys usually wouldn't talk about. For all my viewers at home, I want you to hashtag using hashtag the soapbox. My bad. While you're watching, so that, we know what's going on. Feel free to @ us or talk to us. We always love to communicate with you guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with a friend, obviously. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Roger that.